2 minutes, Kim. Get the stream. 2 minutes. We know who's what.
Russell, 9.
Welcome back, everyone. Peter Tankard here, and I'm joined in commentary by the great Steve Mifsud.
Yes, hello everyone. Hello, Peter.
Watching perhaps the most established superstar of billiards against the brightest up-and-comer. Mike Russell has 19 world titles, I think, exclusively in billiards. Pankaj Jadvani, I think, claims a higher number, but he includes team events and snooker events as well. So in terms of purely billiards events, Mike Russell's the undisputed king.
Dhvaj didn't play that last cannon too well, Peter. He's left this very, very tricky. He's taken a bit of time over this one. He's actually tried to plant the yellow onto the red. Very, very tough shot
Really?
from
that distance.
From that distance,
wow.
That's just. And the worst thing is in billiards, it's really about what you leave your opponent. And playing that shot, he was always going to leave the balls fairly nice for Mike. So you'd expect Mike to get the balls to top in this sort of a position quite efficiently.
How many shots from here do you think, Steve?
Oh,
have a guess.
I would say maximum 3 or 4 shots for Mike here. Maybe less.
Really?
Maybe less.
I know Mike's enjoying the tables a lot.
So there's one shot, and I think he's gonna, yeah, I think he's going to top now. So
immediately from here, wow. Yep. A little more work to do to get it tied in behind the spot, but on the way.
So Mike's best break so far, that's been 490, is that correct?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I know Corsia's still got the best at 665, but Mike's starting to fire up. And Dhvaj Haria just made a 399.
Never had a chance. Just to take that. Sorry, too much noise.
Always just each table just a little bit different, how the cushions react and the squareness of the bounce and the angles for drop cannon. So just a bit of an adjustment phase at the start of the match for the players to get that right, but that's turned out pretty good for Mike. So this
I know Mike has already played on this table. I'm not sure about Dhvaj, whether he's played on this or not, but
it's getting very close to exactly where Mike, you know,
likes them to be.
Loves placing the balls, you know. And here he goes. He's got him.
Here he goes.
He's got him at floating wide.
Now, I was talking to somebody in Ireland who asked me to make 2 observations about how Mike plays floating white, and he is the best. The best certainly in our age that has played this form of the game. And they said observe how many times he actually comes in from behind and plays the recovery shot. Almost twice as often as he plays this direct cannon coming in from above. So he's actually knocking it back up towards the spot more often than he's knocking it down away from the spot.
Okay.
And the other thing they observed, although it wasn't the case in this instance, is that he almost never leaves a straight pot. It's always a 3/4 ball red pot. So he can get to almost anywhere he wants.
Hours and hours of practice, solo practice, I would imagine, over the years. Well, obviously started at a very young age, and absolute master of floating white.
Yep.
And he would just skim off the white here, leaving it in line with the red spot, and
Now come up high.
yep, just got to get nice and high with this one. It's just beautiful control.
So is this a thin chip or a run through?
No, run through with check. A little bit of drag as well. That's what. See that that cue ball just seemed to.
Yeah.
This table seems to be springing a bit more off the cushion. I don't know why that is. Compared to the other tables, it just seems to be springing off the cushion a little bit more.
Not loving that shot, he thinks. Don't think he can get behind there, can he? Oh, that's so clever.
Lovely. That wasn't the best. That was, he sort of left the red behind there. He's got to play this with a heap of side to. He's just made that incredible touch just to get that cannon. Now he's just going to shift that cue ball up in line with that spot again, and
come up high, push it back.
you can see how at the extreme edge of the ball he's hitting there. He's just hitting it so softly and letting that that cue ball spin to the correct position.
The other shot that I see him produce that I've never seen anybody else produce is when he's got the white tight behind the spot like that, he can actually make contact and not move it. He'll actually play running side to the ball, check side to the first object ball, running side to the second object ball, and turn off it like it's gearing. And the ball literally does not move.
Yes. Obviously, that's solely possible when you're playing on championship conditions.
Yes.
Might with new cloth
playing
as
that
well.
type of shot here. When I say it doesn't move, you've got to hit it.
Well, you don't know. It could have been a kick.
Could have been a bad connection. Looked like a kick.
But yeah, the worst thing about that is what you've left your opponent. So. Yeah, that'll be disappointing for Mike, because that's exactly what you want to do at this level, is get in and make a big one straight away.
Look, I think it must have been a kick, because he doesn't miss that. He reported to David Pitt, one of our organisers here, a little while ago, that he thought these were the best playing conditions that he'd seen in 20 years, and then revised that the following day to the best playing conditions he's ever seen. So that's nice to know.
Well, they are, Pete. They're just fantastic conditions, and there's absolutely no excuse, really. Like there's little differences between the tables, but they're very consistent, and you know, there's no excuse. The tables are just running beautifully. So
I might swing in our next expert commentator, Tad Babiak from South Australia, who's been doing a tremendous job in coaching and documenting his coaching for billiards. He's been a huge asset to recruit into the billiards family, and we might put him in commentary.
Thanks very much, Peter. Thanks for the kind words. I don't think they deserve, but never mind. We're having an absolute feast of intriguing billiards. Drove earlier on in his match with Peter Gilchrist when he secured floating white, kept it, and it was unlucky not to have made a 400 plus break. He just missed it in off red from a fairly standard position on I think it was 398.
So this is what we want to see, both players at this end of the table and getting into their groove early into the game. Obviously, this is the warm-up event for the World Championship, only an hour and a half match, so it's just a matter of who will strike the first blow, really, and knock up a big break. I'm sure it's going to come in this match from hopefully from both of the guys, but yeah, like I said before, crucial to get off to a good start in an hour and a half match. So see the loose grip there of Dhvaj Haria, very, very loose. The cue just, you wouldn't even call it a grip, it just sits in the bottom of his fingers there.
One of the other players, James Gianaris, is a former Australian snooker champion, made the comment earlier on to me that Dhvaj is playing, most of his shots are about forward swing, and that's particularly noticeable at the top of the table. It helps him keep that beautiful touch going. There's very, very little backswing with these short shots he's playing. He's placed the white beautifully back beyond the spot. Will he be playing around the table here, do you think, Steve?
I've seen him do it a lot, but I'm not sure the angle's there to do it.
Right.
I'd be floating it in, but I think he might be going around the table here.
No,
he's
you picked it.
in.
Well, that's a beautiful little cannon.
Wow. If that red spot, so yeah.
I think
I'm not sure that was intended to be.
Really? It was dangerous, definitely.
Yeah,
must spot.
It does spot, so he's in great shape now. You're playing this with strong right hand side. You'll see those red dots spinning, so he just comes away there and doesn't leave him smothered.
It's very noticeable the touches of side spin they use around the place to make sure that they don't get covers. The spinning ball just comes off the other, a bit like putting your finger on the top when it's spinning around.
Just a very smooth, very relaxed player. Can't really see, you know, fantastic temperament, doesn't show anything. And lovely cures. The amount of skill to keep the balls at the top of the table is just, you can only really appreciate it when you watch billiards, really, when you play the game, how hard it is to actually keep these balls in control like this.
In some ways, that's been one of the difficulties for billiards in terms of attracting television audiences, etc. It's very, very easy to look at this and see it as a series of just repetitive strokes, and it's anything but that. The skill level here is just unbelievable. People think golf is difficult.
Yeah.
It's fantastic that we've managed to secure a world title for Australia this year. It's often difficult for Australian players and audiences to get an opportunity to see some of the best players in the world playing at this game. There are a few hotbeds of billiards in Australia. South Australia up until recently hasn't been one of them, but we are growing the game there. We're very fortunate to have very good facilities at Snooker SA, and we have a patron in a bloke called Chris Wignoy who's really looked after us, and Billiards is making a resurgence there. But the standard of play is very high in places like Victoria, New South Wales and Western Australia predominantly. He may have has he lost the red? He's lost the red.
So he's just played that strong enough, perfect pace to just leave that red outside of the balk area, and yep, strong run through here, and he's back at top. So he's got the option here, Tad. He could get this full ball, leave postman's knock, or try and get it a bit thinner, and I think when it's close to the cushion like that, it's a bit risky to play that shot I was mentioning to knock it back up to the spot. So I always find this is a great position for postman's knock when the yellow is just one ball to the left or right of the spot, not directly behind the spot. It gives you so much margin for error. You can just stun up to anywhere where he is now with the cue ball and get that double kiss. But he's actually knocked it back towards the middle of the spot now. So this is yeah, it'd be interesting to see how long he keeps this postman's knock going for.
I've noticed in your play, Steve, of the top Australian players, you're probably one of the ones who plays postman's knock more often than the rest of them, even though they can play it. I know Matthew can play it. I have seen him play it. Is that a preference of yours, or Steve's smiling at me? Oh, that's gone a bit astray.
Yeah, I think I don't. Yeah. I do like to play it, but I wouldn't say I've got a preference. I'm just consider myself learning the game, so I'm trying to learn both postman's and floating white. So I've made breaks using both methods, but yeah, I'm not really concentrating on either. Well, that couldn't have worked out any better, really.
Absolutely.
That yellow's in such a good position. It's all about getting the cue ball in the right spot. That's why Dhvaj is going around the other side to have a look, you know, because that's crucial now, to leave yourself exactly in the right spot for this cannon. Because if he does manage to do that, you're going to get that yellow back right behind that red spot. So, but I mean, if he's an inch either way, he can't do it. So you see he's just left the yellow behind a little bit there, so he has to go through the same process here of knocking the yellow back up. And
you think you'll screw back to the cushion to get back into position, or do you think you'll come off the top cushion to get into position in this situation?
No, he's screwing back here for another. Oh, I'm wrong here.
No, it looks like he's running through.
He's stunning this, and yeah.
He's going to bring it back up to the line now.
Exactly, that's the right shot. Yeah.
And again, this comes down to top of the table. It's not just the individual shots; it's patterns of play that these guys are just so very, very good at. And it's so easy to come very quickly undone in this style of play if you, firstly, don't know the patterns of play, and secondly, even if you know them, playing them is a whole different ball game. That takes a very high level of skill.
See that? I think he's got a slight bounce off the cushion here, and that's gone a little bit too far, but I think he can correct it with side. I'm not sure if the yellow is going to go behind the spot. See, he's got to go through the process again because of that.
Yep.
He was half an inch out of position.
Absolutely.
That's all it takes. So he hasn't got him exactly where he wants him, but he's still working towards that. So knock that yellow back up.
It's interesting that playing the yellow in the whole box area and knocking it back up to the line running parallel to the top cushion through the billiard spot was a method that was more favoured by the English players, notably Jack Carnham used to coach in that format, as did Norm Dagley. Whereas the method of floating white that Mike Russell has adopted, I believe the first guy that started doing that was Mert O'Donoghue some years ago, which requires a much tighter control of the white ball on a line about 6 inches long, just off to the one side of the red.
Yep.
And that requires phenomenal touch and control, and Mike's an absolute master at it. Mert O'Donoghue was a New Zealander by birth. He was actually the first man to have made a witnessed maximum break. He did it about 20 years before Joe Davis made a maximum break in snooker. And Mert had also made several thousand breaks in billiards. He was a magnificent nursery cannon player in particular, but he also developed the type of floating white.
So a beautiful break so far by Dhvaj. I really like. It's so nice watching this guy play. Like, I didn't realise he's up to 188. You know, it's like beautiful rhythm, and like he's on 188 already. Like getting close to the 200, and he hasn't really got that yellow behind the spot. Like perfect.
No,
you know, he's just playing around, isn't he? Yeah. So
he's improvising beautifully. It's pretty to watch. I think he's left himself a bit straight. He may have to.
Yeah. See, that's what we're talking about. Just one little error like that, just not leaving yourself leaving yourself straight on a red. You have to force it. And
yep. I think this is still recoverable.
He's still
though.
Okay. He's got the run through.
Yep.
No,
he doesn't like it.
Maybe the yellow was going a bit too close to the pocket,
Jaws.
So he's playing the thin one.
Yep. And again, knowing he's playing the thin one, he's played it nice and firm, so he's left himself the choice of either the losing hazard or the pot if it'd come out well for him.
Yeah.
The ball seemed to be a little bit wide there for just a hazard for a drop cannon, so he's had to play it in and out of balk. Would he be playing the cannon direct here, Steve, or do you think he'll just slide in slightly behind the yellow ball and just caress it? It's a very dangerous shot.
He could play the in off here, Ted, and not take that
You're
risk.
right. Well done.
Yeah. No risk.
Oh,
you know,
perfect.
There's always a chance the table can roll off playing that shot. You catch the cannon a bit thin, and
yeah, absolutely.
This way there was no risk really.
Ooh, wiped its feet very slightly, went in off the jaw there.
I was watching the cube, I didn't see that, but I'm expecting he's going to knock that yellow. Oh, just played it thin.
Again, that's one of those shots that can often, if you play it poorly, can unstick you very quickly. You end up with all three balls lined up. And again, you pause for a moment, and he's up to 223 points already and no end in sight.
Yeah. Would have loved to just knock that yellow just a bit further.
Yeah.
Still okay, but not perfect. You can see the side he's putting on the ball there to make that angle.
Of course, to get that angle, he's always going to push the yellow to the other side of the spot, but not close enough behind to maintain perfect position. And there he's using the jaws of the pocket to try to maintain control of the red.
Well, this sets up a very interesting match, Ted, because you've got the young up-and-coming player who's started the better, Mike, with the experience, and I'm sure he's going to hit back hard when he gets his opportunity, but it's shaping up nicely. Of course, on the other table, we've got the #1 seed, David Corsier, playing Matthew Bolton.
I was going to try to have a look at the screen to get us a score update, but unfortunately it's paused at the moment and we've lost our technical expert. I'm reluctant to touch anything.
We'll let you know what the score is on that one shortly. Meanwhile, Dhvaj has moved to 251, and now he's got that yellow right where he wants it, right underneath that red spot. So it's looking really good here for a big break.
He's dropped it short.
I cannot believe that. That's both players have made the same mistake, or they've both got a kick. I'm not sure, but that did not touch.
No, definitely not.
So they've both made the same mistake, really. Incredible.
I believe the red doesn't spot here, which means it will go on the pyramid spot if that's
right.
the case.
Okay.
So
yep.
Mike will have to probably play the red off the pyramid spot until he can get a small cannon to move the white from. Oh, he's done it already. Look at that.
Yeah. So you've got 3 visits in a row where players are just at top of the table. So, wow,
that wiped its
only
feet.
Yeah.
And the Mike's managed to push it back into perfect position. He'll be bringing the white back towards the spot with a little tiny cannon.
That's very rare for Mike to leave the red there, really. But it's sometimes the shot is just, yeah. Not a problem, obviously, just in off here. Leave the red for a pot into the middle. Or a drop cannon. Little baby drop cannon.
Yeah. It's interesting. Walter was a great advocate of the direct method to the top of the table to take out any possibility of a poor result off the drop cannon, but most of the modern players don't seem to have any problem whatsoever playing the drop cannon. Occasionally
I think it's a big generalisation saying drop cannon, Tad, because like to me that's a baby drop cannon. That can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's so many different types where if you're playing off the white and that's coming across off two cushions, then yes, that's risky. But there's quite a few different versions of drop cannons where, you know, there's quite a few where there's no risk at all. Heaps of check to stay low on the pot. I don't think it'll take long. I don't think we'll see Mike playing postman's knock for very long. That first opportunity, that yellow. Okay. So on the other table, we have a progress score with Dave Corsier 180 to 80. Matthew Bolton 80. So I'd imagine there's been a bit of cat and mouse on that table because it wouldn't have been as free-flowing as this one. But that's how billiards goes sometimes. The balls can run unkindly or players can be playing good safety and there's not that many openings, but certainly hasn't been the case here.
No, definitely not.
Just a top-of-the-table exhibition from both players. So Mike's proven me wrong here. He's quite happy to play some postman's knock, which is good to see. There aren't too many players who really keep the balls at top these days, Ted. Most of them are floating white players.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching Dave Corsier closely this event. I haven't really seen him play yet, but from what I saw, his top of the table's improved, but I don't know if he's playing any postman's knock.
Well, he played a little bit of it when he was out at Yarraville in the qualifying, but he probably played it more floating white than postman's knock. Dave seems to be the exception. He's quite happy to revert to open play or a loose form of top of the table. He's very entertaining to watch in a lot of ways. He appeals to the amateurs that aren't as skilled in top of the table because his game superficially seems to resemble theirs. Of course, he's so much better at it, it's just not fun.
Great to see his billiards improving, Dave. I mean, he was always, I think he's got a smother here, Mike. Yep, he's going to have to play this Massey. Shouldn't be a problem. Yep.
That's where he's got the wide up.
Yep. Now, does he get another little drop cannon after this, or he seems to leave the balls in this position a lot. I've seen him play this shot set them up for this many times. So just how the player sees it, and that's the beautiful thing about billiards, that every player's got a different style, different pattern of play, and there's no right or wrong if it's successful and you're scoring and making big breaks.
Well, it'd be a shame if it all became stereotyped, wouldn't it? You know, I mean, that's part of the attraction of the game. There's so many different ways of playing.
And wow, I was going to say that's a beautiful shot, but that just kept rolling. We've got that extra roll, and I think he's got nothing here.
It's going to be.
And that's how quickly a break can end. You know, just. Oh, has he got the pot?
Has he got the pot? It might.
Wow.
He might have. I'm not sure.
There you go.
Yeah, he has got the pot. He's played it with a lot of side spin to leave himself you'd imagine he'd have to play the cannon here.
It's always interesting watching the other player in the chair and what they're doing. Dhvaj is like bending over, seeing the result of the shot, and some players don't like to look at what's going on. And
it's interesting how historically over the years, with the changes that have been brought into the rules to stop repetitive scoring method, we're now in a situation where, to some extent, the popularity and off top of the table has come about because of the limitations on both nursery cannons, spot stroke and hazard play. It's the most efficient and best way to score the most amount of points in the shortest amount of time. It's undoubtedly true all of these players are terrific hazard players, and I've certainly seen Peter Gilchrist play a few nurseries in the course of his top of the table play, so I'm sure both, probably most of the top 4 or 5 players in the world could play nurseries, but there's no great advantage to do it under the rules these days. So, do you think there's some scope down the track for perhaps a different set of rules for amateur play to encourage some variations, Steve?
yeah, I think the rules are pretty good at the moment. I don't think they need to change too much. I really love billiards. I love seeing big breaks and seeing players maintain their concentration for long periods of time. So, you know, I don't mind seeing tournaments like this without the balk line rule, so you can really see them build, see if they can build, you know, big breaks. And
I agree. I mean, the balk line rule in some respects was really only brought about to curtail repetitive play, especially with regards to nursery cannons during the Walter Lindrum era, but also to put a curve to the top of the table. But in some respects, the irony is that it's actually, if you're a hazard striker, it's quite difficult to comply to the balk line rule.
yes, yep. Ooh.
Mike's caught that a little bit too thick. He was trying to catch it on the right-hand side. But
Well, not a problem though. He's got a lovely in-off here, just a trace of left-hand side to widen the angle of the red to make the in-off and set it up for the middle. So in-off into the middle, leaving the red over the middle pocket for the pot and back down to top of the table. There you go.
he's played the cannon, and you notice he's
played it lovely as well.
I thought he was trying to come underneath the white, so he left himself a better pot on the red, but the double kiss slightly put a stop to it.
He's not happy with that one. Left himself short on the red, so
On the table. Yes,
cue ball going in and out of balk. Played to perfection.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Mike, of course, is a master of that shot all around the angles as well, because he plays it so often in the course of some of his very large breaks with the balk line rules in force, which it will be during the World Championships. Mike's up to 127 at the moment. Pushing the white up to the line here and pushing the red towards the pocket. And I imagine he'll be screwing back to the left-hand side of the table to leave himself a little angle for a mini cannon off the white to red to bring the white back towards beyond the spot. Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
Break ends at 136. So you've had what, a 230 odd from Dhvaj.
Yep.
136 from Mike. think Mike had 80 before that. So.
Yep. That was quite a surprise. I didn't expect Michael to miss the red off the spot. I don't think he expected to either, as it turns out.
So we have a break in the pattern, Tab. Although Mike's still left the balls in a very workable position, he hasn't left them at perfect top for Dhvaj. So we'll see how Dhvaj goes about working the balls back into that position.
Looks like he's left himself on the line, or tried to leave himself on the line. He's a little bit low at the moment. He was trying to get in hand fairly early in the piece.
Yep.
He still managed to do so and left the small cannon.
From this angle, can't leave the yellow right underneath the red spot, but drops it onto that, well, pretty close to the line, so 2 pots off the red here. And
I think he's going enough. And he is.
There you go.
I think the white's available as an in-off from in hand, but it looks, does that look a little wide to you, Steve?
No, that's fine. I think he'll have a... Yeah, you might be right.
I think he's playing in and out of balk. Yep.
And this could be perfect.
Oh, look at this. He's left the drop can on the other side of the table.
Let's go a bit close to the cushion.
Can he get that with side
okay.
spin?
Yeah, still okay.
I've been putting a lot of running side on this to widen the throw and bunch them all together at the top again.
And that is pretty good. A little soft, thin cannon here.
That's interesting. You run through?
Just run through for a
cross loser? Yeah, that's what he's done. He's played the cross loser. Again, very safe way to play the 3-6-9, back down to the top after the pot red, hopefully. If not, he may have to play a hazard or two just to get in either pot red or drop cannon position.
So Tad, you topped your group yesterday. Very good to see, mate.
Oh, I think
Very
I
happy seeing that.
Oh, I was exceeded all my
You
expectations.
must be pleased, and you won your last 32 match as well. So
Oh,
very, very good effort.
miracles do happen, Steve. I think I was fortunate. One of my opponents was severely jet lagged, or it might have been a different story altogether.
No, they're called Tim's.
Too humble, Tad.
Oh no.
You've done well. And here we go again. He's got him. He's worked him really nicely here and back in business.
That's a magnificent Alcock's Duke of Edinburgh table that you're looking there. A very rare Tasmanian timber it's made of. The RACY club down here is magnificent in terms of its atmosphere. It's very much an old world style of billiard room. They've got fantastic facilities here at the club.
Perfect venue for this championship.
Oh, very much so.
It's just fantastic to have all the great players here.
Yep. And we are fortunate that we have patrons like Chris Christophe supporting the games of billiards and snooker, especially here in Victoria, but Australia-wide as well, which means you have facilities like the Rivington Academy down at Yarraville, and encouragement for players to get out there and try to improve their games when we have the opportunity to host events like this. We get to see and learn from the best players in the world and test yourselves against them. And are you still commuting for the snooker championships, Steve? Are you still going across to England for the snooker championships at the moment? You're still commuting, going backwards and forwards?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying that part of it, or are you missing the billiards?
I haven't played snooker for a month now, so I've been focusing on billiards. So I'm pretty committed to doing both sports. So it just priority goes to tournaments that are coming up. So when this was announced that it was going to be in Melbourne, I wanted to support the event and put in a decent preparation for it. So I've just been playing billiards for the last month. And,
it certainly seems to have shown in your results, which have been very good in the last couple of months. I understood you made a very large break in the Australian Snooker Championship, and then in the Australian Billiards Championship, and then followed it up in pennant with a few 400 plus breaks as well. So you must be playing very, very well, Steve. Full credit to you.
Meanwhile, Dhvaj is going along beautifully here. Absolutely.
361 to 92.
Yeah, so David Causey is looking at a strong position now.
361. Yep.
To 92.
Yep. So he's obviously.
It sounds like he's had a double century.
Yeah.
Got off to a good start against Matthew, but plenty of time left. Matthew can score as heavy as any of these guys once he gets the balls to top, so it's just about getting the opportunity.
It's a difficult game in that respect, to be able to keep your composure while you're sitting in a chair for long periods of time.
That's the key, to be able to do that is against the top players. When you're sitting out big breaks, to come back and score heavily is that's the key to competing at this level. So.
And Dhvaj has just passed the 100 break at that point, and still in perfect postman's knot position.
Great vision from Cue Ball TV. Thank you very much, Dan Lynch, for all your support of billiards and snooker, and Paul, of course. And
again, playing with a lot of check side.
This sort of setup for billiards for many years. So this is fantastic. You see all the little traces of spin they're putting at the top of the table. Like it's.
Well, as a coaching tool, this is brilliant because with the spots on the balls and all of the different superb camera angles you got here, you can actually almost learn some of the moves of the game just by careful attention and watching.
Now this is just perfect. The postman's knot. Now he's got the ball right where he's got the yellow exactly where he wants it. It's touching that bottom cushion, and that's what you don't really want to do. You don't want to be leaving yourself straight, but he's in such fine touch that you can just screw that ball back to exactly where he wants it, and he's got the perfect cannon. And so maybe just finishing straight on that red and having to screw back just it's the measure of position. But
looks like he's going to play a Steve Mifsud special here.
Yeah. He's played it very, very well. Obviously, he wanted to get full ball contact on the yellow there, and he would have been still in postman's lock position. But this is tricky. This could be a cushion first, or a run through with strong run through with left hand side. Just making that yellow go underneath the red. Got the collision. You never know where that's going to end up, and that's awkward now. That's really awkward.
How close together are they, do you think, Steve? Can he play cushion first here?
Could be on, but very risky. I think he's playing 2 cushions here.
Yep. And again, how quickly it goes wrong from perfect postman's knock position to...
Oh, that's nice. He's okay now.
Yeah.
A couple of nice little cannons here, and obviously with a cushion first cannon to start. No, he's played it direct. Wow.
Is it touching?
Well, he wants it to be touching.
But it's not. You have to play a Massey here. He's elevating the cue.
I think that was the wrong choice from Dhvaj, not going cushion first. It couldn't have gone wrong.
He's played that little tiny soft Massey and never swung wide enough.
And the trend continues. Yeah, just leaving each other in plumb positions. Yeah. For all the people watching this, and there's a nice little crowd watching this in the pit tail, it's going to be a treat for them if they carry on like this.
It is indeed. It's
not putting the red.
I think you'll have to, surely. Or perhaps a screw cannon and pot. I'm not sure what he's playing here.
Well, you're right. Yeah, he's screwing back straight for the cannon.
Yep. So he's going to try to improve the position of the white ball with his first shot at it.
And you see a nice shot of the crowd there. Quite a few watching. So.
I think he got that wide throw there. He was up very quickly.
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised by that.
Screw cannon. This could work out well, or you don't know really. Like,
yeah, sometimes they clatter into each other and ruin everything.
Just like that. He's still okay here. He's got a thin cannon off the cushion with strong left-hand side.
He'll be bunching them together, hopefully, just near the top cushion.
Or maybe 2 cushions. He might be going 2 cushions here.
I think he has done. You're right. You've picked it, Steve. Even though it's a bit away from the cushion, it's likely to play a double kiss cannon, do you think, or just direct?
Yeah.
He's played it direct.
Lovely touch.
Magnificent.
Beautiful touch.
Wiped its feet.
The way he reacted,
I thought he might have missed it. Yeah, he sort of stood up and was looking at it. So.
Wrong side of the white, but it's okay. It's perfect, really. Look at that.
Will he push it just to near the spot here in one stroke?
Yep.
Looks like it. Yeah, and he's left himself the long pot red. Mike's usually very reliable with his long pots when he's recovering top of the table, so you wouldn't expect him to miss anything as straightforward as that. And back to the top of the table yet again after about 3 or 4 shots.
So the break goes to 34, but within a couple of shots, Mike will have these right where he wants them, and Could be looking at another sizable break.
He's got 32 minutes to go. It's not inconceivable that if he keeps him under control, he could almost see out the session.
Oh, he's got a bounce there. He got a little bit of a bounce off that push. No.
Yeah, so very careful not to play a push shot there. He's left it short.
Commentators have cursed there. So within a couple of shots he'll have a perfect top.
He's got them all lined up here at the moment, so he's still got a number of choices, but it'll be interesting to see how he tackles this.
Screwing off the red.
That's what he's done, absolutely. And the white's just inside the scoring zone, I think, for a long loser. But I think he may be playing in off red to start with.
Yeah, just a soft drag in off here and leave a drop cannon, I think. Yeah. And playing the red up like he did, there's no danger in playing this drop cannon.
No, well, the red's in the scoring zone from about a foot past the top cushion when it was doing that, and even if he didn't have the angle for the top cannon, he had plenty of recovery options. And that's very noticeable in most of these top players' games as well. They play the shots that are giving them the maximum percentages. They're good at all of them, but they seldom play risky or dangerous shots when there's certain options that will achieve what they want in 2 or 3 shots rather than something dangerous in one. And again, the white's in position behind the spot. He's left the red in a position for the pot and top of the table. I think he's covered the spot there. Can't tell from the camera angle here, but if he has covered the spot, if he pots the red, it'll end up being on the pyramid spot.
Yeah. So the thing here is just finish straight on that pot, on that pyramid spot. So he's high now, so his option is to pot the red or play it check side and get the cushion first cannon.
No, he's potted it.
Potted it and tried to land straight. If he lands straight, it's just the
perfect.
Yeah.
I think he can certainly work with that.
Yeah. So it's lovely control to judge that too.
And he's played a little gentle cannon here to clear the spot while leaving himself the pot, and he's back in perfect position for top of the table.
So Dhvaj has a wonderful opportunity here now to really deliver a telling blow in this match and put together a nice break. I think there won't be enough time. If you can make a 300 break here, that's the end of the game.
And just a score update on the other table, David Corsier is currently leading Matthew Bolton 456 to 102. So he's kept his advantage and keeping Matthew on the back foot. It was very straight there, so he's played a very soft screw to keep the balls close together to give him more options for the soft cannon here. Pushing that white closer and closer to the top cushion, trying to secure postman's knock by the looks of it.
So every time you see the cue ball lower than the red, you'll see Dhvaj going up to leave himself a cannon. Really, when you're playing postmans, it's probably ideal to leave the cue ball higher than the red every time. Like he's done on this occasion, you can put a lot of check on this and get an extra pot.
He's left himself pretty much on the parallel line now, just slightly above it, so it's a fairly straightforward pot, a little stun run through to leave himself high on the red.
And this is played with a lot of side, so that yellow doesn't move. It's the check side that leaves it there. Now he's high on the red again. And when a player's really going well at postmans, they'll always leave himself high on that red and get the extra pot. He hasn't put enough check on that, so he's left himself pretty much straight here. Well, he had a bit of angle, so he was slightly high. So this is just great position here now. So. He was a bit straight actually. He was an imperfect. No, I thought he was in a perfect spot for the cannon, but not. So he's going away now. Back into open play.
Of course, all of these players are so very, very good at their hazard game. Open play is not a problem to them, and he'd expect to, within 4 or 5 strokes, to be a bit back down towards the top end of the table. And depending on how he feels, he may even push the white behind the spot at this time while playing a cannon, but it depends on the contact on the red. He'll have to be very precise with that to leave himself a pot red if he's going to do that. No, he's taking the safer option.
Yes, but I don't think he's played it very well, Ted.
No.
The run through is not on because that yellow's going into the jaw of the middle, so he's playing a thin in-off here with a tracer check side.
Doesn't like it. Can he still get through this too?
I think he's got the thin, super fine in-off here.
He's played the run through.
There you go.
Got it.
There you go. Just avoided the kiss on the way back.
And he'll want to put the white. I'm just looking at the red. The red's in position. There's 6 shots, a very, very large possibility. I mean, it doesn't matter because he's got the white as a backup, but the problem is if it isn't a 6 shot, it often gets tangled up in the jaws. So
that's what happened there. So this isn't ideal, really. I think that yellow is sort of, it's not going into a good position.
He's lost it.
Going in.
He's lost it. It's,
that didn't look good, that cannon. And,
no.
I think he'll just play off the forcing in off here and send the red into balk.
Yep.
And just keep control of the game now.
Absolutely. Mind you, that's not an ideal position. Well, it depends where he leaves the white here. He would leave it in balk, but he'll be attempting to leave himself in a position where he's got a losing hazard off the red.
So a nice 110.
And I think Dhvaj has left it reasonably well for a losing hazard, I think. Mike may have to disturb these. He's attempted the cannon, he's only just missed it.
Wonderful attempt. So 520 to 264.
And that was an excellent example to amateur players of how to go about a double balk. You don't play an aimless double balk that just leaves the balls in balk. He left them in an attacking and commanding position and forced Mike to have a go. And as a result, because he failed to get that cannon, Dhvaj now has access to both of the balls.
See, to me, this is a foolproof drop cannon. Once you spot in the correct position, you get the right contact on the red.
Red.
Red's going to the pocket. Yellow's behind the spot, so there's no danger really.
Absolutely.
I mean, he hasn't played it ideally, but still he's in very strong position here. So
Very much
there's
so.
just drop cannons everywhere, all over the table, and some of them are just foolproof.
As long as he keeps the two balls in front of him, he's always got a cannon to recover off of anyway. It's the longer drop cannons where you're trying to get precise down the top of the table that occasionally can go wrong for these guys because they get a smother that's very difficult to get out of. But you don't see it very often. They're very, very good at them. So I was going to say that only just went in.
I thought he's got himself into a bit of trouble here, not just playing the pot. He played the 5-shot there.
Yeah.
If he had just played the pot,
He's lost it again.
yeah, if he had played the pot, he would have had cannon and he would have been going to top. But
It's very, very seldom that the 5-shot is the shot in billiards. It often gets you into trouble more than anything else.
another double balk, keeping control of the match. 20 minutes to go. Well, double balk coming up after this shot, obviously. But 2 pots.
Yeah, he's left himself
Red
nice and
goes
low
onto
on
the
the
blue
center spot.
spot.
Yeah. And he'll try to keep them as far apart in balk so as not to leave an enticing cannon target. But at the same time, he would prefer to leave himself in off red if he can, although the pot red he can work with.
So still time for Mike, but if you keep coming to the table and you're double balked all the time, there's not much you can do really. You need to really
Is he playing around the table?
a little bit of luck, 3 cushions, trying to move that red out the way.
Yeah, he's hit it, but unfortunately hasn't moved it far enough, I don't think. I think he's left the in-off red as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like once you do it, it sets into a bit more. Yeah, and it's good.
Matthew Bolton on the other table, just an update, is at the table currently, but he's trailing by a considerable margin. David Causey is on 574 to Matthew's 117, so an enormous amount of work to do. I don't believe he's got enough time left to make up that deficit. And meanwhile,
So unless we see something extraordinary in these last 18 minutes, it's looking like Dhvaj Haria v David Causey in the final, which, well, there you go.
and just
Commentators first.
and well, it was a difficult shot. He played a small cannon to try to leave himself another cannon, but smothered it and failed at the quite difficult in-off that he'd left himself in the middle pocket. So.
As always, when things are going awkward for you, like there's only 3 balls on the table. Mike's hampered here with his queuing, trying to pot this red.
Which he's managed. Now, has he left himself the angle to get him off the white?
It's just overhit that. It's just,
That's
it
awkward.
was the right shot. Was the right shot to play, because if he lands perfect for that in-off, he's away.
Can he run through this, Steve, without the double kiss getting in the way?
He's trying to.
That's what he's trying. Oh, look at that. That's magnificent. That is magnificent.
Wow. Well, here we go. If he nails this loser, leaves the drop cannon. Now these are the tricky drop cannons. I mean,
Yeah.
they can go wrong, but
Under normal
probably
circumstances,
probably
he's trying.
not for Mike. He's
No.
a master of this shot, so he'll get the right contact on that red. 3/4.
Oh.
He's hit the wrong side, but
He's still got a shot.
pretty good, Ted. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's ideal, really. Maybe he played to hit that side of the red.
Well, someone was telling me that Robbie Folvari often hits that side of the red because he thinks there's less chance of a smother or something. I'm not sure about that. All the pros I've seen play are trying to hit the inside and direct the red in the direction of the pocket to avoid the possibility of a smother. Has that obscured the spot, do you think, Steve? It's a bit hard to say. Well, no, shortly.
It's not a problem. Like, he goes up for the pink pot, he finishes straight on that. Well, I think the way he's played it, it's on the spot, and he has an opportunity here. The opportunity is there, so he needs to score fast, but he'll have to get his roller skates on to get there. But
certainly well and truly capable.
As you can see, he knows that, and he's.
Oh goodness, he's got a kick. And not only that, he's obscured the spot. Has he got an in-off left off the white? Looks like he may have. So he's still got an in-off the red from the pyramid spot, which is a bread and butter shot for billiards players. And he'd be looking to leave the drop cannon, I imagine, here.
Well, he's played that.
He's played the pot
a lot.
No, he hasn't.
He's played it with a lot of side to get that angle in the pink spot. A lot of left-hand side. It changes the angle of the object ball. But just left it short. Drop cannon. And that's no good.
Is there enough room between them? Can he play a cannon off the cushion?
It is unlucky. That's how he played it, cushion first, and just needed that red to just avoid the white. Very unlucky with that kiss.
He's playing a masso.
That's a tough masso.
That is.
Yeah, he's really good hit this. So sweet to get this masso.
That's always a very, very tough shot. So how quickly it can go wrong for even the best in the world. So. "15 minutes to play and a 260-point deficit with Dhvaj at the table."
Yeah, so just some nice open play from Dhvaj. Just some half-ball losers. Wind that clock down a little. Stay at the table. And he's through to the final of the World Open at the RACY Club.
I think he'll play quite a few losers off the red. If he thinks he needs to bring the white into play, he'll probably attempt to do it, even though it's in position for a short Jenny. His preference would be to use a cannon to get it into play. Which he's doing right now. He's trying to push the white towards the direction of the middle pocket to leave himself a losing hazard in case the that's not a terrific result, though.
Just pop the yellow. Keep control.
And he's played the in-off and he's missed it. I think I liked your shot better, Steve. I think probably thinking about it now too. However, Mike, I think, has to take this pot on because he needs the white on the table. And he's got it.
Fantastic pot.
That was a good pressure pot. So
I think
271-point deficit. I don't know that he can do that in 12 minutes, but
well, he'd have to go into Dave Corsia mode to do that.
Yeah.
So it is possible, but he's sort of got to really get him to top and just, yeah.
He wanted to catch less of the jaw there and have the white come back down towards the spot, but it hasn't worked out. It's got tangled up in the jaws. He's left the white in the scoring zone. If he doesn't have the option of a drop cannon, he'll play a long loser and try to manoeuvre the white ball into a drop cannon position here. And because of where the white was located at the time, he's taken the safer option and put it just north of the pyramid spot. And in this situation, he can play just a long loser and 2 cushions to bring the white into position for the drop cannon.
A little bit short, so could be cushion first here. I'm pretty sure it is cushion first.
I think that's what he's done, definitely. On occasions, depending on the location of the white, that can sometimes go astray with a double kiss just behind the red spot if players aren't on the lookout for it.
Screw cannon gathering shot. A little bit strong, but no, that's perfect.
Is he playing me off here and another drop cannon? He is. Yep. Probably because the white has strayed a little bit too far from the spot.
Doubling the red across. No,
he's got
gathering.
Kiss. Gather it.
There you go. Little run,
little runner. About 75 nursery cannons would be a useful thing to do about now.
Yeah, yeah.
Shall I say?
Yeah, just jamming him in the pocket, Mike.
Is he working his way towards the jam, surely?
I know one bloke could do that.
He's going to turn the corner here, bring him back the other way. No, he's going in off red. No, he's done it. He's turned the corner and he's come back the other way. Oh, this is wonderful to watch. However,
oh, he's screwing it off here. The cannon's not on.
Oh, that's dangerous. Oh goodness.
So yeah, I think that's about it now. Just a lap of glory for Dhvaj here. Not enough time now, so.
No. And just a score update on the other table, David Corsia with about 8 minutes to play is leading 622 to 207 to Matthew Bolton. So I think that is all over definitely on the other table. And unless something very untoward happens, I think Mike may have run out of time on the match with Dhvaj. It's a nice thumb pot to leave himself the middle cross loser. And if he chooses to recover the white, he'll probably do it by leaving the red in a mid-table position, but he doesn't have to do it with the time he's got available. He could play quite a few strokes off the red, build up a score differential. Might see a stun pot here for another middle cross loser. It's a bit hard to tell. No, he's just rolled through. Looks like he's playing the thin cannon here to bring the white back into play, which he has done. And once again, he's kept the balls in front of the white ball, so he's left himself the option of a cannon or a hazard. He's left himself a little bit hampered for the pot red, and I'm not sure that the in-off white is on. And it's come astray there. So Mike's back at the table, but with a 260-point deficit and only 6 minutes on the clock, I think that's a Walter Lindrum requirement here. Attempted a 2-cushion cannon.
It's a nice moment for Dhvaj, beating one of the legends of the game, making the final of the World Open, the warm-up event to the World Billiards Championship, getting maximum table time under tournament conditions.
Yes, it should hold him in very good stead for the rest of the week. He's lost the white ball again. Caught the draw of the middle pocket there, which is fortunate. I think it probably would have ended up in balk otherwise.
Kim Arvette taking charge of this semi-final. She's done a fantastic job, hasn't put a foot wrong. Playing the in-off red here, Steve? Yes.
That white ball's not particularly well placed. It's in grand long loser territory, which means he'll probably manoeuvre the red at some stage to improve it in what little time left.
So a good final in store, Ted.
Yeah, I think so, very much so.
Dave and Dhvaj, so
Well, I think in a lot of ways they've both been the form players. Not to say that any of the other guys aren't playing well, because that's totally true. But Dhvaj certainly played extremely well against Peter Gilchrist. He was about 200 points adrift late in the session before he knocked about a 398 break to lead by about the same margin towards the end of it. So.
And that final starts at 6 o'clock. Yep, 6 o'clock. So if anyone's out there who fancies coming down to the RACV club to have a look live, 6 o'clock start. It's a fairly short match, 1 hour and a half. So still a few tickets available if you wanted to come down and have a look. Just getting you a score update on the other table.
And with the time almost out, it's David Causey 674 to, it looks like 233 to Matthew Bolton at this stage.
Just
down to the last seconds.
Last few seconds, yeah. So thanks, Ted. That was good. Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Steve. That was
enjoyable match, really. Yeah, a lot of top of the table play, and yeah, very well done to Dhvaj. I think that's possibly his first major final. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
Bit of a breakthrough for him, beating Peter. He beat Peter Gilchrist, and now Mike Russell. So two of the legends of the game, two of the best players of the modern game. So.
Yes,
that's
in leaps and bounds.
That's a huge,
yeah,
and now he's taking on the current, you know,
form player.
You know, of this event definitely, and in the previous few World Championships, Dave Causey has been pretty dominant. So can he do
the triple?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
See you later.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you, Dan.
It's when they get these long, what they realise how active they are on the close game. You know, I think the close game was so easy, and it didn't have to be very active. They could call it close and near pockets and all the rest of it. Really, when you see them blocking, Mike also. That's the decision. Well done, Kim. Well done. No.
Sorry, that was a snooker.
Yeah.
I think my mind temporarily went back to snooker. I was like so annoyed with myself. I know. And the funny thing is, I think that the left vision, the red was still moving. And I'm
Welcome to this brief introduction to the beautiful game of English billiards. Billiards is a game played on a full-size 12-foot by 6-foot table. People might be familiar with this size table through watching snooker, but in fact the table was originally designed for billiards. Snooker only came somewhat later. Billiards is played with only 3 balls, 2 cue balls, one white with spots, the other yellow with spots, and a red ball. Each player is allocated a cue ball at the beginning and continues to play with that ball throughout the game. Determining who takes which ball is done by stringing for break. Closest to the balk end cushion gets the choice of order and cue ball colour. Players play to either a set target score or play for an agreed length of time, the winner being whoever is ahead when the timer sounds. Players can earn points by either potting or going into the pocket off another ball. Potting or going off the red is worth 3 points. Potting or going off your opponent's ball is worth 2 points. If the red is pocketed, it comes back up onto the billiard spot, or black spot in snooker. If the opponent's ball is pocketed, it stays off the table, thereby limiting further scoring opportunities. If the player's cue ball enters the pocket with an in-off or loser, they are said to be in hand and can place the cue ball anywhere in the D for their next shot. They are not permitted to fire directly into the balk area, that area behind the front line of the D. Because of that rule, sometimes you will see players potting the opponent's ball and then placing one or both of the remaining balls in this protected balk area, hoping to force the opponent to make an error. The final method of scoring is to make contact between your cue ball and the other 2 balls, called a cannon, which is worth 2 points. It is also permitted to make multiple scores in a single shot. For instance, potting the red and scoring a cannon at the same time. With so many different ways to score points, billiards is a very creative game where individual shot preferences and individual strengths make for many varieties in the patterns of play. But having said that, there are quite a few tried and tested patterns of play that can yield consistently higher scores, and the players who know and master those patterns will dominate those with less precision or knowledge. Most players use a knowledge of half-ball angles, the so-called natural path of the cue ball after contact with another ball. Here are some common half-ball positions. Middle pocket loser, cross loser, long loser, short Jenny, long Jenny. The heaviest scoring zone is at the top end of the table. That's because it is where the red is replaced after it is pocketed. At the top of the table, the balls can be kept under close control with the opponent's ball between the billiard spot and the top cushion. The cushion effectively traps the opponent's ball and allows for sequences of cannons and red pots. This pattern of top of the table is called postman's knock because of the rapid double kiss of the cue ball on the opponent's ball. Another pattern of play at top of the table is called floating white. This is where the player uses his cue ball to keep the opponent's ball floating between the red and the top cushion. This requires minute and delicate control of all 3 balls. It is immensely tricky, and the slightest miscalculation with any of the 3 balls and position is lost. If holding the balls at the top of the table is tricky, getting them there in the first place can be just as tricky. While there are an infinite number of ways of herding all the balls to the top, the 2 most common are the drop cannon, or indirect method, and the direct method. The drop cannon is made when the red is on or near its own spot, and the player plays a cannon from the opponent's ball to the red ball, leaving all 3 balls gathered at the top of the table. Drop cannons are notoriously chancy, and it is said that no 2 work out exactly the same. The direct method is generally more reliable, but requires more preliminary shots to set up. It looks like this: a mid-pocket in-off of the opponent's ball to push the ball behind the spot, followed by a red pot to get the red back onto the spot.
Yeah, you see what happened? What happened? I fixed him up, and he said, "Bang!" He said, "This little bastard." You woke him, mate. You woke him. He's got to talk to everybody.
We hope this very brief introduction adds to your enjoyment in watching and understanding the beautiful precision game of billiards.